Okay, good afternoon and welcome to our January 14th, 2025, 2 o'clock Commissioners' Consent Agenda. Thank you for your patience as we had a little bit of technical difficulties happening. So a couple things before we get started. We do have just a Scrivener's error on item 4 that should state that we are received the Steering Committee of Elected Officials recommendation and set January 21st, 2025 to consider the same. So that, again, is just a Scrivener's error that is not from the Planning Commission, it's from the Steering Committee of Elected Officials. There were no written comments that were received, and so we will go ahead and get started. All 5 commissioners are present. Commissioner Jordan is on Zoom. Thank you very much. So we're all here, and so we will stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I do have 8 people that have signed up for comment today. I am going to go ahead and allow everyone to comment, and we'll keep it to the 3 minutes, and hopefully not everyone will be at 3 minutes, but you'll have that opportunity. And so we are going to just go ahead and get started and go right through that. So I'm going to start with Becky Dickerhoof.
Becky Dickerhoof, Spokane City. I'm here today to ask the County Commissioners to enact what is commonly referred to as the 1590 tax. This ordinance, which amended RCW 82.14.530, allows a county legislative authority to impose a sales and use tax not to exceed 0.1% of the selling price in the case of a sales tax, or value of the article used in case of a use tax. In June of 2020, this tax was put into effect. Spokane County Commissioners chose not to enact this tax in our county to combat the housing and homelessness crisis in Spokane. Spokane Trends offers an idea of the condition of housing in Spokane County. In 2023, there was a 6% vacancy in rental properties. Over 52% of the households in Spokane spent 30% or more in 2023, and over 28% spend more than 50% for their housing. The median income for our area is $73,538. The household survival budget is $85,475. Affordable housing is defined as costing no more than 30% of the monthly household income for rent and utilities. In the third quarter of 2024, 10 houses costing under $250,000 were available, 4 times the inventory in the second quarter, while the cost of houses over $250,000 and over $500,000 held at 2 each. In Spokane, low income is defined as $58,866, which means the amount of their monthly income that could be available for rent and utilities is $1,472. The average fair market rate for renting a 1-bedroom in Spokane is $1,123, not including utilities. A 2-bedroom is $1,444 without utilities. Considering the survival budget is an additional $30,000, the odds that a low-income family can afford to survive in Spokane are exceptionally low. Without additional help with housing, the number of homeless in Spokane will inevitably rise in the coming years as we anticipate cost of living increases. We need to use all the tools available to combat the housing and homelessness crisis in our county. Thank you.
Thank you. Next I have H.T. Higgins.
Good afternoon. My name is H.T. Higgins. On Wednesday, January 29th, 2025, at about 1:30 p.m., the Regional Homeless Collaborative is meeting. Commissioner Kearns and Waldorf represent the county at this meeting, I believe. However, what a statement it would make to Mayor Brown if Commissioners French, Cooney, and Jordan were also in attendance. In other words, you have come to the table. I would suggest that Commissioner Kearns and Waldorf challenge the mayor of Spokane and Spokane Valley to commit to monthly meetings focused on a public discussion of a vehicle that can bring all the time, talent, and treasure of local jurisdictions, nonprofit, service providers, philanthropic institutions, faith communities, and the business community under one entity that uses best practices to design a thoughtful, long-term plan to utilize all the resources in our community in an apolitical vehicle. We are one community, which includes the city of Spokane, Spokane County, and the city of Spokane Valley. This requires a regional approach. Take the lead, commissioners. You have consistently, especially Commissioner Kearns, challenged me to believe that the unhoused is a priority to this commission. Show the community by your actions on January 29th that this challenge is a priority. Literally, you are showing up for a 90-minute meeting to say, yes, we as the Republican majority on the county commission want to invest our time, talent, and treasure in having a discussion about a regional model. We need to come together, step into the uncomfortable, because Spokane County and the residents that elected all of you deserves a bipartisan, thoughtful conversation about the most nuanced, complex, and human challenge maybe we have ever experienced in Spokane. Please show up on the 29th. I will greet you, and yes, I will be kind. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Laura Ackerman.
Good afternoon, commissioners. I'm Laura Ackerman. I live on the West Plains 99224. I actually agree with the last two speakers, but I'm not going to speak about that. I really do appreciate having a task force for PFAS, but the task force needs to move quickly and get going. The legislature is in session and budget cuts are on the table. But PFAS is an issue that will only expand. Poison wells don't know politics. A Democratic commissioner needs to be on the task force. It will help the task force to be genuine by being inclusive. And the task force is also a little bit too top-heavy. We need more citizens who have PFAS in their wells on the task force. We need citizens who've lived this experience of PFAS, and we need a citizen or two who also has PFAS in their wells and who also has livestock and or farms. The basis of the task force mission starts by functioning in the most authentic and genuine manner, and that's having more citizens on the task force. Thank you.
Thank you. Craig Bossel. It's like I usually can say it, and now I can't say it today. Bolosing, correct?
It gets pronounced a few different.
Yes, I agree. My
San Francisco relatives pronounce it Volosing.
Oh.
My grandfather changed it to Volosing. There's a few more. So, good afternoon, commissioners. Craig Volosing here, and my address is a matter of record for these proceedings. I come before you today to express appreciation for recent efforts by this board, in particular Mr. French, Mr. Jordan, Ms. Waldrop, to move us toward establishment of a clean or safe water task force for the West Plains. Please realize, though, that we are still finding your pace to be slow, especially when we look at the challenges and opportunities ahead in the already convened Washington State Legislature. At the same time, we do realize that you may well be hampered by pace of work realities that are often attributed to bureaucracies. Maybe there's something held up in this department or that. We understand. That said, we encourage you to spare no effort to accelerate the pace of this work. After all, we have been living with this unfolding crisis for over 7 years, and it has yet, to our knowledge, to appear as an agenda item at one of these public legislative meetings. 7 years. So my analogy for the day is please shift into second gear and apply plenty of throttle. Show us what this vehicle can really do. I even put a little smiley face on my note. And one more thing. These past few years, and especially this past year, I've been struck by how very nonpartisan the public response has been to this crisis. Yes, politics seems to crop up everywhere, especially during election time. We all know that. But as I have found, working with so many affected West Plains neighbors, they have overwhelmingly been very nonpartisan in their approach to learning the depths and complexities of this problem, and they have been equally nonpartisan as we explore how best to solve this problem. That is not to say that some political concern has never been raised. However, it is rather remarkable, in my experience, just how devoid of politics the myriad of our discussions have truly been. And I think you should find that really encouraging for our near future ahead. And the groundwater carrying pollution to our water wells is colorblind. There are no red or blue wells. The water just keeps running wherever gravity and geology is taking it. Again, thank you for the positive steps.
Thank you. Next, I have Mary Boham. Benham? Is it an N?
Thank you.
Okay.
I'd like you to please take a moment and think about PFAS in the
Yeah,
West Plains.
and I'm going to just have you state your name for the
I'm
record,
sorry.
if that's
Mary
okay.
Benham, B-E-N-H-A-M, West Plains resident. Thank you. All right. Please take a moment and think about PFAS in the West Plains. Think of a young woman pregnant in 2017 whose child reached age 6 unknowingly drinking contaminated water. Think of the many questions families now have about the future health of their loved ones exposed to PFAS. Together, we must act swiftly and resolutely to educate the public and to remediate PFAS contamination. The new county task force is a positive step forward, and we thank you and we urge swift action.
Thank you. Next, I have Krista Conley.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you. I'm Krista Connolly. I'm from the West Plains area as well. And I just wanted to start with saying thank you for the work that you've done so far to try and pull this task force together. I know it's not an easy effort, especially with all the people that are involved. I'm here today to request consideration for folks that are actively accounted for and affected by the pollution, by the PFAS. I am, as I spoke last week, I'm responsible for safe, clean drinking water for almost 400 people. I've been involved in everything that's been going on in our situation since 2017 and continue to be, and so I do have some background and knowledge in there, and I want to make sure that the entire West Plains is is spoken for and represented on the task force. And so I know that there's work on getting the list finalized for everybody that's going to be involved. But it appeared to me that maybe there were a couple folks from the Palisades area, and I completely agree that they need to be included as well. But I also am requesting that folks from other areas of the West Plains are involved. And I would be more than happy to step up. I want to be part of the solution. And so, as a couple other people have said, this is not a political issue, and politics need to really be put aside. It's a health crisis for everybody here in our area that's affected by it, and bipartisan attention and support need to be made to make positive progress towards a solution. So I'm here just requesting additional citizens be included, and I'm happy to take part in that. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next, I have Julia McHugh.
Given that I only have 3 minutes, I'll be skipping around on the presentation that I did send you all this morning, and including to the clerk of the court. So I'm Julia McHugh, Palisades Neighborhood. I am here to present and encourage you for the 9th time to look at this as a leadership opportunity. We West Plains residents living with contaminated drinking water are your most promising partners and key to our overall success in solving our significant groundwater problems. We are here to support the formation of a safe water task force to directly address solutions to this widespread threat in our homes and within the 13 county-recognized West Plains neighborhoods. 13. We must recognize the mounting costs to address West Plains groundwater contamination thus far. Self-testing, filter installation, self-paid by property owners, Great Northern School District, Fire District 10, all out of pocket. The Ecology Enforcement Order, the cost of ongoing remedial investigation begun in 2024. EPA Ecology's no-cost voluntary well testing, the lab results, reporting, all cost a lot of money, and the Ecology Department of Health ongoing provision of bottled water to impacted residents, and including the airport's consultants' ongoing site investigations. So this is really starting to add up to the taxpayers. We're all taxpayers. This task force must include impacted citizen reps from the known contaminated areas excluded from the Fairchild Air Force Base PFAS study. You have a map that looks like this. It shows the concentration of PFAS, those of us left out of the Fairchild study. So you've got this, I'm sure. Also including the city of Airway Heights, which I know we've got Hank Beinacker. Hooray, he's great. Medical Lake, Cheney, and Four Lakes. We also request full engagement by the Spokane Regional Health District, who has been curiously absent in this whole 5, 7, 8, now going on 8-year journey we're on. So I'm going to skip here to what I determine are short-term priorities. One is 6 months ago we were promised a report from the assessor's office that will lay out the West Plains PFAS impacted property values and how our properties are impacted. A lot of people cannot sell their properties. 2, provide full house filtration systems for safer drinking water and protection of residents' health, equivalent to those provided by Fairchild. These properties will never be reached by proposed water system piping due to solid basalt geology, and we know that through all of our records. We have long-term priorities, a 2025 Aquifer Protection Area ballot issue, and updating the 2018 CARE ordinance, that's the Critical Aquifer Recharge Area ordinance, which was updated in 18. At the time, we knew there was PFAS in West Plains water coming likely from the airport, but that was not mentioned in any way. That's the 3rd item in your packet, a map showing critical aquifer area that the county generated. Thank you very much for your ongoing efforts. We do indeed appreciate it.
Thank you. Next, I have Brian Johnson. Is there Brian Johnson? No? Okay. Then with that, I will close the public forum, and I will look to my fellow commissioners for the rest of the agenda items.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve items 3, 4, and 5, including all sub-items, and I will again note the Scribner's error you referenced at the beginning of our meeting, that item 4 is to read, receive Steering Committee of Elected Officials recommendation, as opposed to reading, receive Planning Commission recommendation.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for items 3, 4, 5, and all sub-items on today's agenda with the note of the Scribner's error. Is there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. That then takes us to the end of our agenda items for today. Mr. Simmons or Mr. Folsom, anything to come before us?
I have nothing further, Madam Chair.
Nothing from me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, very good. Then that will conclude our agenda for today, our meeting for today, and we'll sign some documents and see everybody back next week. Thank you.